Good evening. The January 20th Board of Education meeting is now in session. Please rise for the invocation. O God, we pray to administer that which is just in all educational policies. Being ever mindful of your guidance, stir us to action with love, wisdom, and understanding. The Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2.03 is approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
All those in favor? The minutes are approved. Item 2.04, establish agenda order, and the agenda stands as published. Item 2.05 is recognitions, and we do not have any recognitions this evening. Item 2.06, school and community highlights. Mrs. Pickard?
Too many moving parts here. Can't see. Last Thursday, I had the pleasure of being present at Oakwood Elementary as they received a generous gift from the JNP Project 2015 Gift Giving Campaign. Donna Stern, the project leader, has developed products for students ages 5 to 12, centered around lessons of character, courage, and self-confidence. All 4th and 5th graders received a string backpack and 3 books and a water bottle. These gifts totaled approximately $5,000. The JNP project chose Oakwood as their 2015 gift recipient because of their honor of a National School of Character. Oakwood has created a culture of combining smart and good. Students at Oakwood learn from the minute they enter the building that personal responsibility, kindness, and respect are expected behavior. Kindness and respect are expected behaviors. Students reflect on their own behavior and learn to recognize positive character traits in their peers. The way Oakwood has woven character education into everyday learning has created a very positive school environment. Well done, Oakwood, and a big thank you to the JNP Project for your generosity and commitment to the students of AACPS.
Thank you. The only thing I wanted to mention is many of us attended Martin Luther King breakfast on Monday morning, and our wonderful Brooklyn Park Middle School chorus performed at that event. And then this morning, many of us were also at the Anne Arundel County Chamber's legislative breakfast, getting some updates from our legislators on what's ahead for session and the rest of the spring. Mrs. Hummer?
Yes, I went I think it was last weekend, for the performing arts program auditions for Brooklyn Park and Bates and Annapolis, and it was awesome to see so many children and their families out there, and the cacophony of different instruments practicing and warming up in the stage, and the girls, stretching for the dance auditions. It was really neat to see so many people so interested in our different programs that are out there. And then last week I went to Meade High School. They had a night called Discover Meade for students who will be coming into Meade, and all the clubs and the special programs were out, so the students could talk to them and learn about them. And it was just a great event to see how many things are available. And that's just one of our high schools, so many different programs and something for everyone. So it made me wish I was in high school again, because I'm like, gosh, maybe they had this when I was in high school and I didn't know about it, but I don't think so. I don't think there was the variety of things available when I was in school. So it's a great event.
Okay, item 2.07 is the CRASC report.
Good evening, President Korbalak, Dr. Arlotto, and members of the board. My name is Michael Moore. I am a junior at Severna Park High School, and I am the second vice president of the Chesapeake Regional Association of Student Councils. I have not given a report since November, so bear with me. I have a lot to catch you up on. In December, CRASC hosted a General Assembly at Meade High School. Our topic was inclusivity, and our workshops focused on community inclusion, special needs students, alternative education, and transgendered youth. Ms. Bobby Pedrick, who was our keynote speaker, delivered a wonderful speech and was extremely popular amongst the students. I'd like to give special thanks to Lucia Martin, Kathy Lane, Nelson Horine, Virginia Dolan, and Colleen Duncan, and extra special thanks to Meade High School. In more recent news, Severna Park Jr. Alex McGrath was selected to be one of 2 Maryland representatives in the United States Senate program. Also from Severna Park, Viraj Shah is one of 5 finalists for the advancing to the elections for the student board member of the Maryland State Board of Education. That's a lot to say. On Wednesday, January 27th, here at the Parham Building at 6:30 p.m., CRASC will have an informational meeting about the student board member selection process. We are anticipating a wide field of applicants and encourage all interested juniors to attend. This will kick off the nomination period. That'll be fun. Finally, we'd like to wish all participants in the Cool Schools Challenge of the Polar Bear Plunge good luck. Currently, the top 3 schools are Arundel Middle School, Southern, and Arundel. So great job, guys, and enjoy the cold while you're at it. And thanks to you for allowing us to represent the students of Anne Arundel County.
Thank you. Item 2.08 is the PTA report.
Good evening, President Korbelak, Vice President Nally, members of the board, and Dr. Arlotto. I'm Pam Bukowski, President of the Anne Arundel County Council of PTAs. Happy New Year. Since this is the time to make resolutions, I resolve to remember that brevity is the soul of wit and will attempt to be more succinct with my board reports. In the past month, our council has been a presence at a county council meeting, school board nominating commission, and AACPS budget hearing, as well as a voice in the Teacher of the Year judging process. At our January general membership meeting, we were fortunate to have Alex Shaknovich join us to educate us thoroughly on the budget process and our role in this process as parents and stakeholders in our county public schools. On Monday, February 1st, Anne Arundel County Council of PTAs will sponsor a county legislative night at the Maryland House of Delegates Low House Building in the Anne Arundel County Delegation Room 142 from 6 to 8 p.m. We would be pleased to have you join us. Please note that this is a change from our original date of January 21st. In fulfilling our mission, AACC PTA joins the AACPS community to engage, empower, educate, to promote equity and accelerated student achievement, to hold true that all children are capable of success, no exceptions. As always, PTA thanks you for these many opportunities to speak for every child, one voice.
Thank you. The next portion of our meeting is the public comment portion. Anyone wishing to speak on an item not on today's agenda may offer testimony during this public comment portion of the meeting. Speakers will be allotted 3 minutes each, and the board asks that comments remain civil and appropriate for the various audiences that may be watching or viewing the meeting. Student-specific and personnel matters are confidential and cannot be discussed in this forum. This time is intended for speakers to voice their opinion and not necessarily as a question and answer period. Speakers may pose questions, but answers will be counted toward the 3-minute allotment. For the record, please give your name before speaking, and handouts should be given to the board assistant. The first group of names I have is Stacy Montagna, Tracy Matthews, Lisa Rodvian, Jeremy Ray, and Odessa Ellis.
Good evening, Superintendent Arlotto, President Korbelak, and distinguished board members. My name is Stacy Montaigne. I am not here this evening to talk to you about the impacts that will affect my family with changing school start times. However, I am here to tell you about the impacts that all families, even those without students, will be impacted. Regarding high school start times, I understand that research states the benefits of later start times for teens. Yes, we can all agree staggering statistics apply to high school students, including lowered teen pregnancy, lowered teen drug use, lowered teen depression. This is true for only a quarter of Anne Arundel County public school students. Don't you think we should be equally concerned with the other 3/4 of the population? These changes that may indeed help the 20,000 high schoolers will inevitably be detrimental to the other 60,000 students in Anne Arundel County Public Schools. The 60,000 students out of 80,000 are already going to be going home alone, attending aftercare if it can be afforded, or if there are any openings, or parents will have to modify their work schedule to accommodate these changes. In the Arundel cluster alone, there are approximately 2,221 elementary students. Out of those students, approximately 10% are picked up by older siblings or going home alone. I don't want my younger child going home alone. My children help to make sure that he's home safe and everything and doing his homework. With the proposed changes, elementary students are going to have to be at their bus stops starting as early as 6:30 a.m. Why is it okay for them to wait for their bus in the dark, but not the high schoolers? The middle school start times, 9:30 to 4:10. Most working parents have to report to work well before this time. Who is driving kids to school when they miss the bus? What about the special programs like STEM and PVA? Those children will not even get home till after 7 p.m. Children will not have time to get their homework done with their extracurricular activities. When do we want them to do their homework? In the morning, before school? AACPS already has a staffing issue. Those issues will increase significantly. The majority teachers are not happy with their salaries. Imagine what a start time will do to them. Will there be a continuance of work to rule? I hope not. Per AACPS Transportation Department, there are 750 bus drivers who currently work 7 to 10 hours a day, which is 3 to 4 bus routes, and some who choose to have extra routes like field trips and after school. With the proposed changes, there will be a need for an additional 124 drivers. Drivers will have to have their hours cut in half, only working 2 to 4 hours. How are they supposed to survive on that salary? The amount of money, $8.1 million, that this option will cost is unattainable. What happens if funding doesn't happen every year for this? We have teachers that have not received their step increases in 7 years. We need to take care of our teachers. The option that Dr. Arlotto has put forth is not a good fit for our school system. I implore you to rethink the proposal for changing school start times and find another solution that is more conducive for the people that you are ultimately responsible for. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tracy Matthews. I wanted to talk to you today about Start School Later movement. I want to thank my friend Stacy because she hit on a whole lot of points. So I thought that I would talk about what would happen if we didn't change school start times. So Anne Arundel County will still have 80,000 plus children coming to school on that first day of school, all excited. Anne Arundel County will still be one of the top producing school systems in Maryland. Anne Arundel County will be and still will be very proud of all of our past students that have graduated with the current start times and gone on to accomplish some really many great things. One of those would be Jack Andrak, who invented an early detection screening for pancreatic cancer. The 3 Anne Arundel County students that won the prestigious awards from Mr. Gates Scholarship. Anne Arundel County can also be proud of the higher test scores. According to the Capital Gazette, Anne Arundel surpassed state average from the newly released PARCC test scores. And I think you all know how I feel about PARCC test scores. So I can also tell you what greatness we have, but I also thought that I would mention that Miss Corbelak's son, Joshua, graduated from Arundel High School early and went on to do the Rotary International Youth Exchange. Her other 2 children graduated from IB, and she currently has a daughter at Annapolis High School in the PVA. That speaks volumes. My daughter's school, Arundel High School, is now offering so many different certificate options for our students, from computer science completer to the newly introduced gaming completer program, so they can learn how to, program those great games that they spend hours on. So my youngest is contemplating taking 5 AP courses next year. Our Arundel students may be able to help design the newly approved Crofton High School. Who doesn't love that? Is that totally awesome? So all of these wonderful accomplishments could not have happened without our outstanding teachers. So in closing, please recognize that we do have an awesome school system, and let's invest in our teachers and don't fix what's not broken. So that's my time. Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Odessa Ellis, and I'm chairperson of Concerned Citizens for Successful Students. Tonight, I am speaking on behalf of our 5 community ambassadors who are employed at Annapolis High and North County High Schools. They serve under the Office of Equity and Accelerated Student Achievement at the Board of Education. Their assignment is to serve and assist the students and their families with difficult circumstances in their homes and communities. Their duties include going to the students' homes and bringing them to school to make sure they arrive promptly to attend their classes, collaborating with their teachers concerning their academics and attendance, transporting students and parents to court for their court appearances, advocating for them in court, assisting school administration with personal and family matters, visiting homes for follow-ups, making referrals to community organizations for assistance such as food, electric, etc. And they also receive food from the food banks for distribution as needed. Our ambassadors are dedicated and committed. They have a lot of love for their students and families. They give so much. However, they only receive $10 an hour. Yes, $10 an hour. And when the schools are closed, they do not receive pay at all. A year ago, their salary was cut back from $13 an hour to $10 an hour. I am aware of the other salary concerns, but the salary of the ambassadors needs to be addressed also. They deserve an increase in pay and leave pay. I would like for the board to please consider and respond to this important concern in a timely manner. I am thanking you in advance.
Good evening, Dr. Arlotto and members of the board. My name is Lisa Rodvian. I'm a secondary teacher in Anne Arundel County Public Schools, and I'm seeing you for the second night this week. So first, I want to start by thanking you for including teacher pay increases in the fiscal 17 budget. I definitely encourage the board to support that funding. I was actually really encouraged to hear that the board was at least inquiring about the possibility of a mid-year step. So I hope that that's something you go forward with. I think, as everyone here in this room knows, the lobbying for the budget or the advocacy for this budget is just beginning. We are at the beginning of this process, and you are the beginning of this process. That said, I want to say thank you for including money to finally begin safe and healthy start times for 2017. I appreciated Dr. Arlotto's piece in the Capital Gazette this weekend and commitment to this process. While you have already, and you will have naysayers who, with very understandable concerns. I mean, my two, we're actually from the same cluster that have very understandable concerns about child care, about the cost. I've heard very few people deny the science behind later school start times and doubt the recommendations of the Centers for Disease Control and the American Academy of Pediatrics. In fact, even the petition that was started begins by acknowledging those important concerns. So I urge you to press forward with the same urgency that you would if a cafeteria menu item caused all of the harm that our early high school times are causing. Imagine if you could just take one item off of the cafeteria menu and you could improve student achievement, you could close the achievement gap, you could lower teen crime rates, you could lower the number of teen car crashes in our county, you could lower the number of teen pregnancies, you could reduce teen obesity, you could lower teen dropout rates, you could lower teen depression. I mean, if it were something as black and white as a food item on the cafeteria menu, you'd do it in a heartbeat. Well, unfortunately, changing start times is not quite so simple, as obviously there are impacts throughout the community. But I urge you to go forward And instead of, saying, all right, we're going to let this opposition stop us, to work with the people that, have very real and legitimate concerns about childcare issues, for our younger students, for the cost of this. I urge you to challenge the premise that 124 additional buses truly are needed, which in my understanding is the bulk of that $8.1 million. I could be incorrect here, but I understand that was a presumption that we would be moving to 100% bus ridership. And is that really a realistic basis for, $8.1 million? Are we really going to have 100% bus ridership? So is that, is that number probably a little bit high? I think it might be. And so maybe that's something the board can look at to help allay some of the concerns about the cost of later start times. Anyway, I've testified on this so many times, you probably know everything I would want to say about it. So I'll leave it at that. And just say thank you again for pursuing this initiative. It's truly an important health concern for our students. We can't accept the status quo. Yes, we've had great results, but there are still students dropping out of high school. We still have an achievement gap. We have teen crime, teen pregnancy, teen depression, and all of those things can be improved with just a little more sleep. On one last topic, I wanted to, totally unrelated to lighter the toast, take a deep breath. This was a topic that came up in the budget workshop last night, was the question about textbooks. Someone suggested, oh, well, it would be impossible to ask every teacher in the county whether they actually need new textbooks. And I was sitting next to someone and we said, wait, why would that be impossible? At least in two of the 6 years that I've been in the county, I've received brand new boxes of textbooks that were identical to the textbooks that I already had in my classroom that were in perfectly good condition. And I don't know how much the exact cost of those were, but I'm just even estimating 50 textbooks. I'm receiving books in my classroom that I don't need, and they're going to sit in a closet. And so I just ask you to, find a way to see if this is, if there can be an efficiency to be saved here, because I know I'm only one, but I can't imagine I'm the only one if I am one. So anyway, thank you for listening to my comments, and again, thank you for advocating for teachers and our children and everything you do. Thanks.
Good evening, Dr. Arlotto and Board of Education. My name is Jeremy Ray, and I know you've already heard a lot of testimony about teacher pay. And I'm a little late to that party, but I think it's still relevant to tell my story and keep that in the front of our minds as the budget process progresses. This is my 12th year teaching music in public schools and my 8th year at AACPS in Annapolis Middle School, a challenge school, where I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade chorus, global music, and 8th grade guitar in 12 different class sections with over 300 students. That's a lot of planning and a lot of work. I've also directed the school musical 5 of the last 6 years and volunteered my own time for countless student activities, including our famous Dragon Cafe recital and silent auction, where we raise funds to supplement the school's music budget. When I arrived at AMS, the choral general music teaching position was a revolving door. There were 5 teachers in the previous 6 years. My first year, I had about 90 students enrolled in chorus, most of whom had little to no interest in singing. It was a struggle to get students to engage during class, let alone scrape together enough for participation in a concert. This year, I now have almost 200 students in my chorus classes, about 100 in global music and guitar. They're motivated and working hard every day and every rehearsal. As a 12th year middle school music teacher, I have plenty of tools and experience to make my performing groups and classes fun, successful, and accessible for all students, no matter what their socioeconomic background. AMS choruses now consistently receive excellent ratings at festivals and competitions, and I can confidently say that I have, with the help of my fellow music teachers and staff at AMS, completely turned around the music program at Annapolis Middle School, a challenge school. I really love teaching music. But with the way the county has treated me by cutting pay while I try to keep up with an ever-increasing workload, it's making me question my future at AACPS. The failure by TAC, the Board of Ed, the County Council, and the County Executive to fund experience step pay increases in the recent past has left me feeling disrespected and dejected. I'm a 12th year teacher with a master's degree, doing really good work absolutely stuck on step 5 of a meaningless pay scale. A 12th year teacher on step 5. I know I'm not alone in that. When I came to the county in 2008 as a 5th year teacher, starting on step 5, that made a lot of sense. But as a 12th year teacher, still being on step 5, that just doesn't add up. Getting a pay decrease this year by losing the challenge pay was an additional slap in the face. I am not a bitter, burnt-out teacher that hates his job. In fact, I love my job. But I'm a teacher who's burnt out by how I feel unappreciated and undervalued by his employer. And I'm confused that the community in which I teach continues to vote for people who treat teachers so poorly. Employees that feel appreciated are exponentially more motivated and are well worth the investment it takes to attract and retain them. Anne Arundel County, I think, is well on its way to having an inexperienced and disgruntled teacher workforce. Please turn things around this year and show hardworking Anne Arundel teachers respect. People before programs. Please figure out how to get that done. Thank you.
Thank you. The last 2 cards I have are Sam Barrett and Brett Meadows.
Hello, Board of Ed. Thank you for taking time to see us today. The subject we will be talking to you about is Defenders Day. Dear members of the Board of Education, speaking with you today is Sam Barrett and
I'm Brett Meadows
from Bodkin Elementary. Do you think it is more important to bring courage to a conversation or a good plan? Well, I bring both. Why doesn't Bodkin Elementary or any school in the Baltimore area celebrate Defenders Day? This historical holiday should be recognized, perhaps by a day off school or a 2-hour early dismissal. You might be asking yourself, why is this important? I am sure you were familiar with the story of young America defending itself against the British. Well, Defenders Day is a chapter out of that book. The year was 1814. The British invaded Washington and were coming to Baltimore. It was such a long time ago that we didn't have a strong navy and our army was being destroyed by the British. Baltimore is a big port and lots of goods and transportation passed through Baltimore. The citizens of Baltimore stood up and repelled the British. The citizens risked their lives. They should at least get recognition for that. If you still don't believe me that is important, put yourself in their shoes. If a deadly, vicious army came, would you stand up and fight? That is what the citizens did of Baltimore. That is what the citizens of Baltimore did in 1814. If the citizens did all that, the least we can do is recognize them. There are many ways we can celebrate Defenders Day. Fortunately, we can A, have a 2-hour early dismissal, B, have a day off school, C, have a parade, or D, have the Maryland Police Department chief come in and talk to us about it. Last but not least, C, have our social studies teachers talk about it with us. My entire reading class and my principal agree with me, so why not you? Do you think it is important to know about history? Then why don't we know about Defenders Day? I know you have a lot to juggle, but please consider my idea. Thank you. And sincerely, Sam Barrett. And going along with that, the British were coming through Baltimore, and like I said, they were already our army was already destroyed by the British in Washington. So the British were coming through Baltimore, and the army of the British were coming to Baltimore to destroy Fort McHenry, and the citizens of Baltimore destroyed them from their doors. So if the citizens didn't stand up and fight, then Fort McHenry wouldn't be here, and America would be destroyed.
All right, that was great. So Defenders Day is great. To follow up Sam's speech, I have some facts that you may not have known about Defenders Day. To start this follow-up, I want to tell you why we are passionate about Defenders Day. You see, Sam was reading a book called The British. He read about Defenders Day, which reminded him of something similar his dad told him. He did some research on the topic and informed me about it. Eventually, we both became interested in the topic and even told our principal, Miss Am Steps from Bodkin Elementary, and about it. And now we are here sharing our passion with you. Next to this follow-up, you may be wondering why we should celebrate Defenders Day when we don't live in Baltimore. Well, you see, if the citizens of Baltimore didn't stand up and risk their lives, the British could have destroyed our state and our country, and that could have been the end of America. Also, during the War of 1812, Francis Scott Key was inspired to write the Star-Spangled Banner, which was originally a poem and became the anthem of our great nation. Anyway, Defenders Day is an awesome holiday, but you're probably wondering if this historical holiday is a legal one. Sam and I are happy to nod our heads yes. Defenders Day is a legal holiday in the state of Maryland, and it commemorates the successful defense of the city of Baltimore on September 12, 1814, from the invading British forces. Last but not least, you may be wondering if Defenders Day is only celebrated in our state. Of course, the answer is yes, but the day had an impact on our entire country. Well, I think that just about wraps up our follow-up. I've decided to include a web page about that I created for you to look at. More facts about Defenders Day. The site pretty much speaks for itself, but it's got a few bonus facts about this very interesting day. And probably a lot of your questions are answered. However, if you still have more, we would be glad to answer them.
It's not.
Can you tell us what the URL address is for the webpage?
Oh yeah, you might want to note this. It's RBS inc.weebly.com/DD.
/ what was the last part?
DD.
DD, Defenders Day.
DD, yeah.
Nice.
Dr. Frank?
Thank you both for coming. You both look wonderful this evening, and I'd just like to ask you to repeat your names so that we are sure that we've got your names correctly, and maybe you could tell me what grade you're in and how did you get so interested in history?
Well, my name is Sam Barrett, and
I'm Brett Meadows.
And we're both in 4th grade from Bodkin Elementary. And Brett, you have the answer on how we got so.
Well, it's.
Could you speak into the microphone so we can all hear you?
I feel history is like a good thing to learn. I feel like, and it's kind of interesting to see how our country evolved over time and how we got to where we are today.
Thank you both very much for coming.
Thank you for
History
having
is
us.
certainly an important subject, and I'm glad you're learning it in our school system. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. I think you've got some future recruits for crafts. That's right. They already match you.
We're looking at a day off maybe for snow coming up, so we'll work on Defenders Day into the future. Guys, that was fabulous. Awesome.
Thank you. I don't have any other completed cards. Is there anyone else here tonight that would like to speak to the board? Okay. We'll move on to our action items. Item 4.01 is administrative personnel appointments, and we do not have any this evening. Item 4.02, the Board of Education handbook revisions. Mrs. Nally.
I move that the board adopt revisions to the Board of Education handbook effective January 20th, 2016.
Is there any board questions or comments? Is there any public comment? All those in favor? Motion passes 9-0-0. The next 5 items are policy revisions, all second readings. Item 4.03, workdays, summer schedules for schools, code GAG. And this is an information item only. There were no public comments received during the 30-day posting. Are there any board comments or questions? Is there any public comment? Okay. Item 4.04 is student attire and personal appearance policy, JCD. There was 1 public comment received. And do you want to share what that person said?
Sure. There were some questions about a little bit more specificity than what our current policy and regulation offer, and then there were some specific questions about what would be allowed and disallowed. And essentially, we did direct the person to the Student Code of Conduct, which does have the specificity that she was looking for. So I think we addressed most of her concerns, and her comment as well as our responses posted on our website.
Okay, thank you. Is there any board comment? Is there any public comment? Okay, item 4.05, student political activity JCK. And there were no public comments on this item, correct?
That's correct.
Any board questions or comments? Mrs. Birch.
I want to thank you for addressing our question about whether or not there could be political clubs at school, because I think you've done it.
I hope we got it this time.
So, yeah, I think so, because outside the school day and instructional time. So, it can be in the building. It just can't be during class. It can't be, and I'm good with that. I just want to make sure that our students could still use our buildings to have a club if that's what they chose to do. So, thanks.
Item 4.06 is also an information item, supervision of students, policy JF, and there were no public comments on this one either. Are there any board questions or comments? Is there any public comment? Okay. And the last of this batch is item 4.07, powers, duties, and responsibilities of the superintendent, policy CBB, and there were no public comments on this policy either. Are any board questions or comments? Is there any public comment? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next two items on the agenda are review items. Item 5.01 is the monthly financial status report and FY 2016 revenue and expenditure projections. Are there any board questions or comments on this item? Is there any public comment? Okay. And item 5.02 is also a review item, construction status report. Are there any board questions or comments? Is there any public comment? Oh, Mrs. Ritchie.
Just my normal question. Are we on time with our projects and are we on budget?
Lisa Seaman Crawford, Director of Facility, yes, at this point in time. And some places are early. Some places are early.
Yeah, we're
Rolling
ahead of
months.
schedule and under budget in most cases.
Until the snow comes.
No, ma'am. That's why we're ahead of the schedule.
Good.
Before the snow comes.
That's right. All right. Thank you, guys. The last item on our agenda tonight are consent items, 6.01 through 6.03. Do I have a motion to bundle and move these from information to action?
So move. Second.
All those in favor? We now have an action item. Dr. Arlato, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend the Board of Education award contracts as listed on tonight's agenda, 6.01, 6.02, and 6.03.
Are there any board questions? Is there any public comment? All those in favor? Motion passes 900. That concludes our meeting for the evening. I just have a couple of announcements. The next Board of Education meeting is Wednesday, February 3rd at 10 a.m. The next Board Policy Committee meeting is Wednesday, February 10th at 1 p.m. And the next Board Budget Committee meeting is Wednesday, February 17th, 1 hour after the public meeting ends. And we are adjourned. Have a great evening.